Welcome to the Grief Bully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Thank you for joining our weekly discussion around grief, mental health, and your overall personal wellness. The Grief Bully podcast will serve as a vehicle to help you navigate life's journey. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share the podcast.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to another episode of the Grief Bully podcast. I am your host, J.Nicole. Today is Monday, January 18th. We are back in the studio, rocking and rolling, episode 75. I cannot believe it. Tic-tac-toe, 75 in a row. Through a pandemic, you guys have hung in there with me. We continue to put out this content, and so I'm super, super grateful and thankful for that. I'm even more excited because today I am not by myself. What a celebratory episode today. I have two phenomenal guests with me, two amazing gentlemen that I can't wait to bring into the show. But before we get into that, I do want to thank our sponsors, BetterHelp. They are an online counseling organization that provides us with the opportunity to have therapy from the privacy of our home. Text message, phone call, video chat, whatever is to your comfort level, they provide the opportunity for you. And when you use my link, trybetterhelp.com/thegriefbully, you will receive 10% off your first month. So they do not take healthcare, but they do financial aid. And again, when you use my link, trybetterhelp.com/thegriefbully, you will receive 10% off your first month. So definitely take advantage of it. And while I have your attention, subscribe to the channel so we can continue to get this content out in front of as many people as we possibly can. Listen, for the sake of time and because of my excitement, I don't want to hold this up too much more. If you've been following me on social media, and if you're not, shame on you, do that. But if you've been following me on Instagram, then you know that recently I've been doing movie reviews where grief shows up on a big screen. And fortunately for me, one of the movies that I've recently reviewed was a short, and that was called If Anything Happens, I Love You. 12 minutes of, guys, I was not expecting it to go that way. And I want to be quite honest. I have a goal. I was watching one movie every day and time was of the essence. So I looked up a short movie film on Netflix that I can watch to check this box. And I'm like, 12 minutes? And my God, am I thankful that I did that. So because I reviewed that movie, and I posted on social media, and then it was reposted by the writers and producers of the film. So today I am excited to have with me here Will McCormick and Michael Govier, and I did say his name right. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much. We're glad to be here.
Thank you so much. We're excited to talk with you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And so, like I was saying, we're reviewing the show, putting the content up, and I'm like, I was so interested because grief is one of those things that I believe is taboo and we don't do that well speaking about in society, and we need to do more. And that's why we have the Grief Bully podcast, and that's why we do things like this. So when I saw a short film that was animated, and I'm like, about grief? Really? This is going to be 12 minutes about grief and animation. I have to know more. Let's start with, how did we come up with this film, If Anything Happens, I Love You?
Well, it's been a long journey. I mean, I don't know. I felt like Michael and I were sort of destined to meet and work together and tell this story. It sounds kind of corny, but I believe it. There was something sort of magical about how we came together. I mean, we met in an acting class in the Valley. And we just became really good friends, and we're both writers. So we would meet and talk about what we were working on and what we were interested in, what we were kicking around. And we were both, I think, interested in writing about grief and kind of wrestling with some of the loss in our own lives. And then Michael pitched me this beautiful idea, which just, it kind of rocked my world. And it was of the shadows and how the shadow souls sort of represent these feelings that we can't reach in times of great pain because we're numb, we're cut off from them. And I thought, wow, it reminded me of, Jung and these beautiful shadow images of our subconscious and our pain. And I thought that's a really beautiful visual cinematic representation of grief. And then of course we kept reading about the tragic, recursive gun violence that happens in America. And we thought about all the parents who lose kids, and I can't imagine a harder thing to go through, but we thought, oh, could we tackle that? And that's really how the journey began. But there was a series of events happen, but they all felt like, in a way, when you look back at them, they were connected. But at the time, they seemed kind of random, Yeah,
Definitely.
When we met, it was very much like that thing. It's like you met, and it's like our first meeting, we're like in the park, and we got like sandwiches here, and we're just hanging out, chatting about writing and stuff. And it was one of those things where it's like, I feel like I've known you for 20 years. It's like one of those kind of friendships that felt old fast. And so we've really connected with each other, and then connected to telling the story. And it's just been so, we've been so blessed that it's been giving back so much.
Definitely. I'm super thankful that you have it. And so, guys, I left that part out, the important part. They are writers and producers. They've done some phenomenal things with both acting and being in films and co-writing Toy Story 4. Can't forget that. That's an awesome accomplishment there. And so having you both come together with that and to speak about grief, you talked about wrestling with your own personal losses. What was the apprehension, though? So I'm only saying this because, as I just said, it's episode 75 of the Grief Bully podcast. And when I went to launch it, I had a little concern that, will people want to consume this content that's about something, as you just mentioned, it's heavy, it's something that not a lot of people feel comfortable speaking about. However, with you saying you wrestled your own losses, we've all experienced. And so I was kind of like, I want to do this. I need to do this. I feel this pull on my heart, but I'm kind of like, I don't know how people are going to take it. Did you have any of that?
I think 100%. I mean, it's a big topic. And I mean, we even had discussions from other people who started to see early drafts or animatic of the film. And is it too sad? Is this too much? Is it, all of these things? And you're kind of like, and the amazing moment that has happened, that's currently happening, is the fact that it's not. People want to feel these huge, big feelings. They want to grieve. They want to express themselves. And this film has given people potentially an avenue to feel, or tap into something. And I think the fact that we're even a small little part of people's journey is just such a blessing.
Yeah, we pitched the movie all over town and nobody wanted to do it.
Wow.
Nobody wanted to do it. They said it's beautiful and it's really beautiful, the script you guys wrote, but it's just so sad we couldn't do it. We can't do it. So we went ahead and we did it anyway, which I always feel like the idea that nobody wants to do is probably the one you should end up doing, because it's the one that people are afraid of, which means there's something there that is going to strike a chord with people, And honestly, the fact that it's landed in the world in this way is a really rewarding thing as a storyteller, because to echo Michael, it's an emphatic declaration that people do want to feel. They do want to get into their feelings, and they will open up if the right opportunity presents itself. So, the movie has over 60 million views on TikTok. Like, people all over the world are showing up for the film and being open about their feelings. That's a really cool thing.
It's a beautiful thing. And yes, that whole hashtag challenge, I missed out on that. I was late to the game on the TikTok and the challenge, but if you did see my before and after, it would have been similar to a lot of the other content, because I think you underestimate 12 minutes. But what is interesting about that to me, and not to go there, but we're going to go there, right? My dad died in about a minute. And so what would make me think that watching a 12-minute film couldn't have that impact on someone, for them to be able to see their story and to see something that they've been through or resonate with them in 12 minutes. So I apologize for thinking like 12 minutes, I can handle this. And then when you cue the music, 1950 comes on, and it's like, I wasn't expecting this. I was going to actually go to bed after this. And now I'm just like reevaluating. But I think what you said was so beautiful, is that people do want to feel. And I think a lot of times what's missing is how. How do we do that? What encourages us to be brave? And I think that's what you all did here with the film, because even the title itself puts that, it's like it passes the ball across the court. It puts the pen on the other side of the table. Like, if anything happens, I love you. So you have to start thinking, well, what could happen? And it's like everything can happen. And then 2020 happens. And I know we spoke, Michael, a little bit about that, and just the amount of grief that the world is experiencing right now. For people to be reacting in such a beautiful way to something that can be heavy says a lot. Is there anything that someone has said, or a comment, or some sort of feedback that really pulled on your heartstrings or really touched either of you?
There's been so much feedback and direct, we're getting, DMs, we're getting emails, and people sharing their experiences of grief and sharing things like, I lost, my son who was 1 a year ago. And I thank you for making this movie. It helps people see what grief looks like, so they can see what I'm going through. And so it's that we've had that response. And then we've had people, directly affected from gun violence from Parkland, Aurora, or Sandy Hook, who's reached out, and they've said, different moments really resonated with them when they hear the song of, the favorite person, that they lost. Like, you remember all of those moments coming back. And I think it's just been very rewarding to see them open their hearts up in this way and be so honest with us. And it's just been so wonderful to be part of it and then share our stories with each other.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. For sure. How about yourself, Will?
Oh gosh, it's just been an incredibly humbling, beautiful experience. I mean, it's, when you're making a movie, when you're making a little independent film that, you're rolling this rock up a hill, you're just trying to finish it, truly. You don't think it's going to make an impact. Really, you're just trying to finish it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's hard. So, the fact that, like Michael said, we've had people from all over the world reach out to us who've lost parents, who've lost kids, who've lost all different types of relatives. Some people from coronavirus, some people from gun violence, some people from old age, some people from tragic accidents. I mean, it's just for all this to be interconnected by loss. I think one thing that gave the movie that people the opportunity to do was just cry. And that feels so good, true. Right? To just release emotion and not be so bound up. Like, that's step one. But step two is to just talk about it and say, I think one of the hard parts about loss is you feel really alone, and you feel like disconnected. But the one thing that, like, stories, not even stories, but just communicating with people and being part of a network, is you feel less alone, and you can see yourself in other people's stories, and it's just an opportunity to connect when we need it most, and that's what this story has been able to do. And Michael and I are so honored by it. And again, we didn't really expect all of this, and the fact that it happened has been miraculous. It's such a rewarding feeling as a storyteller.
Well, you certainly deserve it. I did see some of the success, and it's just been tremendous, and it's exploding. And even just from what I've posted and folks saying that they watched it and how it made them feel and so forth and so on. So we thank you for that. And I think it's super important that you've done that. Did you ever consider words being affiliated with it? Were words ever on the table and taken off within the film?
Not really. The whole thing, we always thought from the beginning, was going to be, a silent film with, images, and then music was going to carry it in a big way. And that's kind of where we started. There was like a moment, where we thought, well, maybe we should say, and then it felt strange to put it in, because it was more of like you felt more connected, I think, to the character since nothing was spoken, because you feel it all, what's going on, and you're so in. And so we just really, it was quite a challenge as screenwriters to write something. Normally screenwriters, your bread and butter is dialogue. And the fact that we're like, let's throw that dialogue out and let's make it harder. And so it was actually quite a challenge.
I have no idea how that process works. I like every time I kind of chuckle to myself. I'm like, oh, I'm having the writers of If Anything Happens, I Love You come on the show. But like, what did they write? And I was like, wait, because what is that process? I mean, how are you just I guess, is there a script? I mean, this could sound very ignorant, and I truly apologize, but I don't know the back end. So is it more so about just like the animation, or you have the script and then we're trying to get the 2D animation to follow that? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's a great question. We spent about a year on the script, which is
wow.
only 10 pages long, because we wanted to make sure it was authentic, and it's a very serious subject, so we took it very seriously. So we were very thorough, but yeah, there's no dialogue. So the script looks like just a sort of series of actions and descriptions and shots, how we want the camera to move and how we want the scenes to look, and how we want the colors to appear. And it's basically like a blueprint as you go into storyboarding and then into animation. But yeah, as Michael said, it's a challenge to tell a story with no words. But one of the cool things is, I think because it didn't have any dialogue, and music is such a big part of it, that it played really well around the world, just because it was this visual piece that I think everyone could connect to, and that was really cool.
Yeah, very true. I mean, I think also too, just to add in there, what I kind of hear and it popped in my head was that in grief, because we've all experienced losses, and I've talked about it, sometimes though there are no words. So I think it was beautiful that you chose that, because so many people, I think, cannot feel alone, because it's like, wow, I've been going through all of these things and I have no words to explain this to anyone else, even my partner, because again, that was a big part of the movie, was two parents dealing with the grief and the mourning process of losing their child, and what it seemed like was their only child. And so you sometimes don't have the words, even when you're not physically alone, because there is someone there.
That's really, really beautiful. I'd never quite heard it put that way, and that's beautiful.
Yeah, that's absolutely what we were going for in that kind of vibe, and that's really, that's very astute.
You hit it out the park. And if you guys need me next time, I mean, honestly, we can just set that up now to help you write the next one. No, I'm kidding with you. But you know what, though? I think it's because that's why I think I connected with this so much, because I think that's one of the hardest things that the grief community and my listeners that are going to hear this show can say, that as much as you want to explain it, it's just no words. And also it's not consistent. So how you feel today might not be how you feel tomorrow. And so as you told someone, this is what support looks like right now, well, an hour from now, that might not be the case. Right. So when we talk about this, and how many times have you watched the film? Does it bring up like certain losses for yourselves, or are you more so watching it or hearing feedback about it and connecting because of what your audience is saying to you? Or is it also along a personal line?
I've probably watched the film, I don't know, 10,000 times, as far as just as we're building it through the whole thing. And different moments hit me as far as different memories, and different moments of grief and what grief looks like, because, grief has this like quiet moments and these moments where you're kind of alone. And it's like, and I think those hit me at certain moments, like, when you see the hole on the wall, that's something that was created by someone who's no longer here. And so it brings back and it floods in all that memory and everything, you remembering that person in that way. And so it's like certain moments like that bring in a lot of things back. But yeah, I've watched it so many times, and then seeing others watch it. As you rewatch it, different people hit different moments that mean a lot to them. Like some people say, finding a piece of clothing really means a lot to me, because when someone passes, you go to their house and all their clothes are there. Their closets are full. They're there and it smells like them. Mm-hmm. And you go through all of these things and all of these memories, and some wonderful memories. You pull out that goofy Hawaiian shirt and you're like, oh my gosh, I remember this. Oh, and then one minute you're laughing, and then the next minute you look at this thing and you realize they're not in the room. And it's just, it's this flood of emotion. And I think that's what's so special with these items, triggering the life that comes back.
Yeah, different. I like what you're both saying. Different moments affect me differently when I've seen the film, and it just, I guess, has to do with where I'm at emotionally in my life. But the moments that really stick out to me are the sort of happier moments in the film, like the playing soccer in the yard, or the birthday party, or when she meets the boy, or just because when you lose someone, often like those are the moments that keep you going, like those beautiful moments that you had together they're often the ones that, for me personally, that I try to excavate and just, I don't know, there's something about the joyful moments, and if anything happens, I love you, that just really land on me. I don't know why. I just like those. I like those a lot.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I actually love what you did where the pops of color came in those certain moments, because that's what stuck out to me. And what I think there, what you're saying too, and I'll hope that a lot of people can understand, is that when it comes to grief, there's joy and there's pain, but we can carry them both. And that, my friends, is the challenge, is because I think a lot of us struggle with putting it separate. So I have this grief and it's this pain, it's just this agony, but there is joy and there was joy and there can be joy again, but it's all a choice. And so I think when you guys did a phenomenal job by kind of putting that together, is that we instantly forget, like a lot of times when I reference my losses, I always speak of everything before 2016, when I lost my grandmother, as before, the times before, where it was a different light in my eye, a different spark in my voice. And it's like, well, granted, I'm not going to get back to that, but I have been able to do well for myself and to learn to grieve well and integrate that. And that's what I think you did a job with showing that there too, especially even with the ending. I don't want to give it away too much. Again, we still want people to go out and check out the film, have a Netflix, what am I saying? Netflix and grief, Netflix and grieve night, where you just kind of watch something there and do that. Were you going to say something, Michael? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just Netflix and grieve. I hadn't heard that. I thought that was
awesome.
It was a cool phrasing. Thought it was cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm waiting to get like a trademark or some kind of like copyright claim thing to happen on YouTube, but whatever. Until then, we'll go for it. It's not their actual logo, but yeah, it just kind of dawned on me. I think I might have saw something along those lines, and I was like, you know what? I think this is kind of where we go, because there's this Netflix and chill and this whole thing that goes around as slang terminology. But we have to involve grief into our normal activities, because it's going to be there. I think you both did a phenomenal job of that. And so I do want to ask you, is there anything that you would like to add as far as just giving someone, I guess, two things. One would be if someone has an idea that they think can have purpose, a greater purpose, or maybe they think it's not going to be a big deal like you both thought. What would you encourage them to do about it?
The biggest thing I would say is just like, if you have something you're passionate about, you want to say, it's just like, don't stop. This whole process we hit so many no's, so many people, they said, no, we love it, but no, and it's like, it's that perseverance, and you need to keep going. Don't stop. That's, if you have something to say, the world wants to hear your story. We want to hear it. So don't stop.
Love that. Love that. Will?
Yeah. I mean, I don't, and if you're going through pain, which we all are inexorably in some sort of way, just try to get it down, because I need your story. Your story helps me, and I feel closer to you with your story. And like Michael said, it's like, most people will tell you you can't do it. You just got to find one person, and maybe that's the person inside you, but find one friend who believes in you and says, let's do this, because you have to have that sort of perseverance, and you have to have a little bit of like horse blinders on, where you're just like, I'm going to make this no matter what. And I guarantee you, if you do that, it will be good, because it will be authentic to you. So it's kind of like, there's no way it will be bad, because it's authentic to you and it's truthful, and that in and of itself will be good, because it's honest.
I love that. And I love that you need our story. And I always say that, I think outside of someone's body, we always want to make sure that someone's story gets outside of their body. Is super important for them to be able to do that. And so I just kind of want to start to wrap things up here for us. But I am curious, and maybe you can or cannot say, do you think you'll do any more work along this genre in terms of grief because of the response? Or do you think it's like, you did it and guys, pack it up? Or it's just like, oh no, we opened up Pandora's box. We're going for it.
We always use this as a theme in a lot of the work and the things we're creating. And we are actually working on another short that we just finished writing, and that deals with grief in another way to look at it. But yes, we are continuing to explore this topic, and I have a feeling you will really enjoy it.
Awesome. I don't doubt that I will. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, a secret is like I can't say it's safe with me because this is my podcast, so it will go everywhere. But thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, we're working on another short right now. We just finished the script, so hopefully we can go into art soon. But yeah, it's about loss and dealing with loss kind of during this time right now that we're in. Mm-hmm. And it's exciting, you know, when you get to work on things like this, it's healing too, you know.
Yeah, that's very true. And that's the biggest thing I say too a lot of times is that it's very, very healing when you're doing this type of work and you're helping other people, because it also challenges you. It challenges you to move in a certain way and to look at your situation and your grief and your loss. And so what I want to do is bounce into a part of our show. It's our Inspirational Boost. It's brought to us by our sponsors, Adina J Designs. They make, create, and inspire us through decorated apparel with signs, custom tumblers, all of that good stuff. Go follow them on both Facebook and Instagram at Adina J Designs, ADENA JAYDESIGNS. So we usually just have a little quote, gentlemen, or something along those lines that we share with the audience. And this week is, "Dear me, don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing okay." And it's actually in like an envelope format. And so I love that. I think sometimes we need that reminder. And that's what I think also your film did, was a reminder that this is tough and grief is hard. And there's so many different layers to it, but you're not alone. So thank you for that. And that's our Inspirational Boost. I want to go into a part of our show that's our In Love and Memory segment. It's very, very important to me to make sure that we humanize our loved ones and people that have gone on before us. And this week, our In Love and Memory segment actually is going to go to my neighbor, and her name was Mekha Hairston. And I actually unfortunately found out that she passed away. And it's just been a little bit troublesome for me. And so I want to send my love and condolences out to her family and her friends, and just that she continues to rest in peace and rest well. And she is truly missed in our community. So that is our In Love and Memory segment today. Before we get out of here, I usually ask my guests this, and you can pass or you can answer it, but I would love to hear your feedback. If you had to choose a color for your grief, what would it be and why?
For me, it's blue. Blue is cool and expansive and feels like sort of a balm. And for me, the ocean has always been a place of healing and also resurrection. So blue, definitely blue.
Love it. Thank you. Michael?
I actually would say blue too. And I like the fact that blue goes through the spectrum, and blue can be almost like black, and then blue can almost be like getting closer to like white, where you get like the sky where it's just like the hint of blue and this baby blue. And so I think it has all of the emotions in kind of blue, where you can feel, you know, blue, you can feel darkness, you can also feel light, you can feel air. Yeah, and I think it's yeah, I really like that as far as if to choose the one color.
Listen, you heard it here. I'm not even going to try to follow that up. I think you both did a phenomenal job answering that question to be caught off guard. So thank you for that and your vulnerability. It's been another phenomenal episode of the Grief Bully podcast. Listen, I want to encourage everyone out there, if you're listening to this or you're watching it on YouTube, go check out the film, If Anything Happens, I Love You, written and produced by these phenomenal people, Will McCormick and Michael Govier. Follow them on Instagram and social media. You both want to plug yourselves where you want everyone to follow you?
Yeah, we're on Instagram. You can follow the film at If Anything _film. And I am Dr. Govier. It was a joke, but it's stuck, and it's I'm not a doctor.
Love it. I was trying to find that out. I'm like, I don't know where this is coming from.
I'm a doctor of life. I don't know. Actually, I'll pitch this. This is what I want. I want an honorary doctorate. So if anyone out there wants to give an honorary doctorate so I can make this thing valid, I'm in. But it's Dr. Govier, you know.
Awesome.
And I'm just Will McCormick on Instagram.
Okay. That sounds like a plan. Listen, I cannot thank you both enough for being on the show. I know it's going to help a lot of people. Thank you for the work of art that you put out there, the healing piece. I look forward to what you have coming up next. You're always welcome on the Grief Bully podcast. Guys, listen, you already know where I hang out the most, on Instagram, posting my head off. So many more movie reviews, so many more phenomenal things coming from the Grief Bully podcast. This is episode 75 in the books. Follow me at I_am_J.Nicole. Guys, till next time, you already know. Love and light. Peace.